Let me ask you a question. When you're producing content for your business, does that process feel easy? Does it go smooth? You feel like you got that all dialed in? Or does it feel like a little haphazard, last minute, a little messy? If you are like, yeah, it feels messy and yeah, it should takes a lot longer than I think it should, you're totally not alone. This happens for a lot of people, especially people who may not have formal training in marketing or design or branding or those related areas. And what you're probably missing is just some structure around managing your brand in-house. So this idea of in-house brand management has to do with how you take care of the brand assets that you have, whether those are ones you created yourself or you hired somebody to help you create them, and also the process of developing new brand materials so that, everything stays in line and is consistent. So I want to give you a couple of tips on how you can do some in-house brand management, how you can set that up for yourself so that things get a lot easier. Because when you have your brand stuff dialed in, then it makes it a lot easier to produce the content, which means you're probably more likely to produce it on a more regular basis. It also means it's easier to bring people into that process. And if you happen to be part of a team and you've got a couple of those folks out there that are kind of like the design cowboys going rogue with the brand materials, well, then it will eliminate that as well. So, okay, so there's a few principles that sort of are the foundation behind really good brand management. And the first is having, sorry, let me check my notes here. The first is having direction. So you need to have a way to get people oriented to what that system is, to have clarity around that and know sort of where you're going with things. The second principle is constraint. And constraint is setting parameters so that when you are doing the design, the creative work, the writing and so forth, you have some boundaries to work in. And creative, or the constraints, is a really important part of creative because it allows us to be creative knowing that whatever it is we're producing is going to conform to those brand standards. And then the third principle is organization. So you have to have a system, you have to have a process in place for taking care of those brand assets and developing materials over time. Okay, so those are the three principles of good brand management: direction, constraint, and organization. And then those feed into four main areas of brand management. And the first is, let me consult my notes over here, having guiding documentation. So that involves things like style guides, of which there are a number of types of style guides that you could have, and other things like maybe you have a brand promise document or brand pillars, or maybe you have a document that outlines the process for making internal decisions. The second area is a way to organize and store your brand assets. So where do those live? How are those named? How do people access them? And then the third area is when you're creating new brand materials, how are you doing that using templates and applying basic design principles? And then the fourth area is the long-term oversight of your brand and how you get people to use the system, how you get yourself to use the system consistently over time. I have a write-up about these four areas with a bunch of tools and tips so that you can set up your own brand management system. And I know that sounds maybe a little bit more complicated than it really is. It's actually quite simple to put together, and you can do it rather efficiently. And again, once you have more of a structure around how you're managing your brand in-house, it's going to give you so much more efficiency and freedom when you're creating that content. So I encourage you to check it out. And if you have any questions or comments or challenges or in those different areas of managing your brand, I certainly encourage you to put those in the comments. I'd love to help you out. So thanks for watching.